King thing going on, Andy.
Oh,
in
good.
the
I'm
NHL.
missing that.
Yes, but you will be giving us your input on it because
Yes,
I
you
want to
will.
know what you think of these teams individually. Ken Will, the almighty El Guapo. All right, so
Why am I that guy?
because you're Senor Guapo, I don't know.
All right, whatever.
No, whatever. Just
Guadalupe.
roll with it. All right, Rutherford. So we need
Power
some
rankings.
cool music. Power rankings. We need power rankings music. Something that's driving.
Go, go, Power Rangers.
Now I just want to end the show. All right, Ken, you're going to sit back, you're going to listen, give us your input on the teams as we develop them out. So Andy's going to start off with number 10.
Number 10, my number 10, I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks. I think they've done a pretty good job this year, obviously coming in, with a coach with Willie Desjardins, another guy who kind of was a candidate for the Penguins job and ended up going to Vancouver. He's done a real nice job there.
No. He was not a candidate for the Penguins job, Andy.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He was the
was
choice.
the guy.
It was the choice. I was being too generous with that, but yeah. I like what they're doing down there. I think a lot of people didn't know how it was going to work out, but man, Johnson and Desjardins, it's really worked out well for those two. So I like what the Canucks are doing right now. They're a team that kind of establishing their identity. I mean, they had a lot of issues with John Tortorella, and for them to kind of move on from that, I think a new culture change was needed there. And
Wouldn't you want to turn the page quickly, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm going with the Vancouver Canucks, number 10.
I've got Chicago at 10 for me. And I don't think they're going to stay there all year or anything like that. But I think right now they're playing okay. But I just think that there are a lot of better teams right now that are ahead of them.
Yeah, Chicago is definitely something. A team that almost has to be a surprise for everybody because you talk about Chicago and you talk about the LA Kings. People still are making their Western Conference picks and saying, I don't know how you can roll out Chicago. I don't know how you can roll out LA. Well, both these teams are teams that are struggling to be a part of the playoff picture in the Western Conference right now, let alone actual contenders. So that's an interesting one for me is the slow start they've gotten on to, but they are turning it on as of late, and I wouldn't expect them to be dwelling down there too long.
No, me either. So where are we at? Number 9 here, Andy.
Yeah, that's where I have Chicago there. I think they could probably move up there, knowing that the talent that they have. They had a recent 3-game win streak that was came to an end once again by the Kings. The Kings have seemed to have their number a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think the Blackhawks. I don't think they're going to stay that low right now. I mean, they're 12-8-1. That's you probably would expect them to have a better record than that, but it's early, and that team's just stacked, and I don't see them being down there that long. But yeah, I got the Blackhawks at 9.
Which coach has the better mustache, Joel Quenneville or Willie Desjardins?
You got to go with the Quinn stash.
Yeah, I mean, Quenneville has the crotch grab to grow with it.
And he's got cup rings and stuff like that.
There's a lot of good mustaches.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Luchik's got one now, so
Paul McLean has a really good one too.
that might be the best stash in the NHL.
And Paul McLean lookalike has a good one too.
It's phenomenal. At number 9, I've got Vancouver. Just so impressed with what these guys have been able to do, turning the page on that whole John Tortorella chapter of their franchise, and they're off to a smoking hot start right now. And the Sedin twins are back to being pretty good players, and so I mean it's nice to see them get a little motivated and a little uplifting after just being in that doghouse all year last year. So we'll see how that continues to pan out for the Canucks, but for right now, I got them at 9.
So flip-flop there, pretty much.
Yeah, essentially. All right, 8, Andy.
Number 8, I got the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, we agree.
Whoa.
Yeah. Tampa Bay Lightning, 14-6-2. We kind of talked about them a little earlier. They had a couple bad losses, against the Islanders there, and then Toronto. They played that game and lost that one, and won the game in Minnesota. And that's a team, as we talked about earlier. I mean, it's loaded. Steven Stamkos is looking like himself again after the tough injury last year. Tyler Johnson's had a good season. I mean, they're pretty stacked at center with Stamkos, Johnson, and Filppula. They have Callahan, Palat as well. There's a lot of good young players on the team. So, they could end up being, even higher than 8 at some point. But I'm going to have them there at 8 now since they had, some bad losses.
Is that the Victor Hedman-less Tampa Bay Lightning who are 8th for you, or do you see them, exceeding this a little bit in the future once he gets healthy?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Hedman's only played 5 games, so I think they could probably exceed that even now. If he does when he does get back into the lineup, he's a big part of that team. He was doing really well too. I think he had 3 goals in 5 games or something. So it's a shame that he had to go out there. But we've seen the Lightning this Lightning team last year. They lost Ben Bishop for a while, and a lot of people counted them out, but they continued to play well. So and it seems they've been able to do that without Hedman too. So it's only going to help when he comes back.
Yeah, I think they're the cream of the crop for the most part outside of Montreal in that in their division. But that's exactly where I have them also, Andy. We pretty much agree there at 8. So number 7, that leaves us with number 7. Where are you at with that?
Number 7, I'm gonna go with Nashville there. Again, that's another team that a lot of people probably didn't see in the top 10 at the beginning of the year. But man, Pierre Laviolette has done a great job with that team. James Neal scoring a lot of goals there, and Pecorine, I mean, he's looking really good too right now, and kind of looking like his old self after a so-called down year, I guess you could say. But that is a very talented goaltender, and I'm going to go with Nashville there. They look like a totally different team under Laviolette, and I think it's great for them. Definitely seen a lot more offense from that team than we have in the past.
I got LA coming in at 7. They had a 3-game win streak, but they had it kind of snapped. They kind of walked through that Dallas game a little bit and didn't really get a chance to complete that comeback. But they're off to a little bit of a slow start this year. I mean, 11-6-4, something like that. But got them there. Nashville, I've got them bumped up a couple. Actually, I'm pretty surprised with those guys. So we'll get there in a minute or two. But where are you at 6?
That's where I have LA. Weren't able to beat the Stars on Saturday. Did have a 3-game winning streak going though. I mean, we all know what this team can do, and I don't even know if the regular season matters with this team. As long as they get into the playoffs somehow, they're going to be a tough team to play against. So, they got to stay up there at some point, and we all know what Jonathan Quick can do and all the talented players that they have on that team. So, yeah, I went with LA right there.
Got Montreal there, even though Michel Therrien is so hated there. He always gets his teams up for competition. They're a solid team. They're well-rounded from the net out, and a pretty good landing spot for them at 6. So 5, who do you got for
what
5th?
What happens to Michel Therrien teams as the season goes on?
They wear down. They start to turn on them, and yeah.
It's a tough system to play, and he's a tough coach to play for in that way, and to really tune into his message night in and night out. And he's been there this is his 3rd year in Montreal. So it will be interesting to see how that does develop. But right now, they sure do look good. They're playing good hockey.
Number 5, Hughes.
That's where I got the Montreal Canadiens, as we just talked about. I mean, that's, as you guys said, that Ken, that is a tough system to play, but I love what Therrien's doing there, and he shouldn't be on the hot seat. Let's be honest. 16-6-1 record. He's done some great things there, making the long playoff run last year. It's been an impressive team, and Max Pacioretty having a great year, 10 goals on the season. PK Subban kind of started off a little slow, I guess, for his standards, but he's kind of picked it up lately, and they picked up good old friend Sergei Gonchar, who's improved their power play a little bit. I think he's kind of a power play specialist at this point of his career, but they were kind of looking for somebody to jumpstart that power play, and they've made a couple trades for Gonchar, and that's kind of helped them out a little bit. And PK Subban has definitely helped them out lately with his recent hot streak.
About a week ago, when the Penguins played Montreal, it was the 18th of November. So about a week ago, did anybody even notice PK Subban on the ice?
No, not as much.
I kind of thought about it after the game. Like, really, what did he do? Like, he was invisible in that game, and that's pretty untypical. Even if
rare.
PK has a bad game.
Yeah, he's usually doing something.
He makes a splash and he finds a way. But yeah, just not even a peep from PK Subban.
So you got Montreal at 5. I've got Anaheim at 5 right now. They, 5-1-5 in their last 10 games. So, that second 5 in that thing, 5 overtime losses, is the thing that's a little alarming for me. But good team, solid. I think they're going to be in that top 5 all year. But right now, they're past 10. They've got points in 10 out of their last 11, but 5 overtime losses is a little bit hard to swallow. So it leaves us now at 4. All right, Coco Loco, who do you got 4?
That's where I got the Penguins right now. Number 4, obviously they've had a really good year so far, and we'll see how they've been able to respond. And I guess the Dupuis injury kind of factors into that now that Blake Comeau and Nick Spaulding are forced into the top 6. But the Penguins still doing a great job, and I forget where I had the Penguins last time we did these rankings, but I think
we had them right on the bubble, 9 and 10, somewhere in there.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think I had them at like 9 or 8. So they've moved up, and that's a good thing. They've had some impressive wins, and they've had some losses, but the fact that they've been able to bounce back has been encouraging. So I'm going to go with the Penguins at number 4.
I had a hard time with 4 because 4 and 3 were pretty close for me.
Same.
I'm going to go with St. Louis, I think, here. I like what they've done in the offseason. I think they're just a tough team to play against. I think Stastny adds a whole new dimension to him. He's a big guy. You still have Backus and stuff like that. But down the middle, they're just so strong. So I'm going to go with Nashville.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
So let me ask, with the success that St. Louis has had this year, and with you just bringing up Stastny, are you better with that contract?
He's not producing like immensely up to that contract, anywhere near it, but I think he's a better player than anyone else that they could have got at that spot,
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a wash, because I guess the question is, like in Pittsburgh, you're not really having to do a whole lot to attract players to your market. You're not competing against attacks like you might be in Pittsburgh,
Florida,
in Ontario. You're not competing against playing in a place like Winnipeg, but and you're not competing against the fact that you might be Buffalo, and you're not going to be competitive. Like, Pittsburgh is an attractive market.
Yeah,
is St. Louis a team that has to overspend to get a player like Stastny to sign there, or are they comparable to a Pittsburgh or a general kind of like mediocre middle ground market? Like, I don't know, $7 million still seems like a really high cap hit for Stastny.
It's a lot for a guy that's projected to have around 17 goals this year right now. He's 3 goals, 3 assists on the season, and you're paying him for a lot more than that. He hasn't really lived up to that hype, but he has, I think, made them a more well-rounded, better team. Just the name alone, like, you have to get up for a guy because he's Paul Stastny, for crying out loud. So, yeah, I don't know. I tend to forget a lot about St. Louis, honestly, because they're just in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest. And I don't think hockey when I think of St. Louis. I think of